2024 Mercedes-Benz GLC 300 Coupe First Drive Review. Redesigned with the same blueprints. Like the GLC SUV, it's all about incremental improvements and updates. The Mercedes-Benz GLC has been a leader in the compact luxury SUV class since it was originally called the GLK. For 2023, the GLC class received a full redesign. But it seems more like a significant refresh on the surface. Mercedes-Benz barely moved the needle between generations, but since its predecessor remained at the top of its game, perhaps an evolution was all it needed. The 2024 model year sees that full redesign applied to the GLC Coupe body style. The previous generation Coupe lived alongside the new long roof SUV for 2023. As is the case with the SUV, the differences between old and new are subtle with the Coupe. The headlights and air intakes up front are slightly reshaped, and the tail is a bit less bulbous and features a more prominent flip-up spoiler. While these changes are very slight, the new, more angular rear end definitely works better. Under the hood of the GLC 304 Moddage Coupe is the same 2.0-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder and 48-volt mild hybrid found in the standard GLC. It's good for 255 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. A 9-speed automatic transmission routes power to all four wheels. Mercedes claims it will accelerate to 60 miles per hour in 6.2 seconds. Which is just a bit slower than the BMW X4 xDrive 30i, 6.0 seconds, and Audi Q5 Sportback, 5.7. We test drove a European-spec GLC Coupe amongst the epic scenery of the Tyrolean Alps surrounding Innsbruck, Austria. Our test vehicle came with an adaptive air suspension and rear-wheel steering, both of which will not be offered in the United States, at least for the first model year. According to Mercedes, the American spec suspension is tuned similarly to the default comfort setting in the air suspension. News editor Joel Stockdale was none too happy about the resulting ride when driving a GLC SUV with 20-inch wheels in Michigan, but with a different suspension and pavement here in Austria. There's nothing to really add or update at this time. Power is more than adequate when getting to highway speeds, even on the short Austrian merge lanes. Shifts are reasonably smooth, though the engine groans rather loudly under acceleration. Once up to speed, the cabin remains pleasantly quiet. At 80 miles per hour, road and wind noise are barely detectable. Handling is also more than adequate, but not what one would consider athletic. Body roll is well managed, and the GLC Coupe feels reassuringly planted to the road. We fully expect some sportier AMG variants in the coming years, but for most drivers, this base model is plenty capable, charging hard into the hairpin switchbacks. The GLC Coupe is composed under harder braking, though nosedive is prominent. Steering effort is appropriate as the small SUV pitches into the turn and accurately traces through your intended arc. Step back into the throttle, and the GLC settles nicely back into a steady state with no drama. As capable as it is, the GLC 300 doesn't encourage sporty driving the way a BMW equivalent might. That points to Mercedes' core strengths of comfort and refinement, and they have obviously served the GLC well. More significant changes can be found inside the new GLC Coupe. As with the previous generation, the interior design is nearly identical to the C-Class sedan. It features a swooping waterfall dash that cascades gracefully to blend into the center console. Ours has a glossy carbon fiber surface that seems appropriate for future AMG variants. For the less sporty models like the GLC 300, the natural wood treatments work better for a warmer and more luxurious cabin. Mounted smack dab in the middle of the dash is a large, tablet-like 11.9-inch infotainment touchscreen. It may be bigger than the previous generations, but it's also lower on the dash and further from the driver's natural sightlines. That means it's more distracting to use and is compounded by the use of fewer physical buttons. What buttons remain are a combination of push and capacitive touch, or both. But they're not as easy to use as the traditional switches or buttons found in the previous generation GLC. To Mercedes' credit, its zero-layer screen layout keeps the climate and audio controls at the bottom of the display for easier and more consistent access. A horizontal digital instrument panel is perfectly placed behind the steering wheel, and an optional head-up display projects useful information onto the windshield. Considering the infotainment screen's placement, getting the head-up display is recommended for its less distracting navigation prompts. On the whole, the infotainment system is well organized and easy to use. It also features the best voice controls in the industry that could help alleviate searching through menus for a setting adjustment.